So I'm reading from the center's affidavit, which is submitted to the Supreme Court in its opposition to the criminalization of marital rape. The affidavit reads, attracting the crime in the nature rape in courts, as recognized in India, to the institution of marriage can be arguably considered to be excessively harsh and therefore disproportionate. This was the crux of argument that the center submitted to the Supreme Court on why marital rape, which is exempt from most legislations around rape, should stay that way. The affidavit is some 49 pages long, and the criminalization of marital rape is vehemently opposed by the center as it will destruct the fabric of society and as they consider marriages to be of social and national importance. We have with us today All India Democratic Women's Association General Secretary Mariam Dhawale. ADWA is one of the primary petitioners in this long standing case seeking criminalization of marital rape. So, Mariam, welcome to NDTV. And I know you've had a very, very busy day today, and I thank you for giving us the time.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
Yeah. So, we will go into all the reasons that the center has provided for not criminalizing the case. But before that, I want you to explain something to me and to all of us, that what was the primary reason that this case even went to the courts and now in the Supreme Court? Why were people, institutions, organizations, and groups like you seeking the criminalization of marital rape?
See, as an organization, we handle hundreds and thousands of different types of cases related to women. Basically, when we handle these thousands of cases, we realized that marital rape is also a form of intense violence that women are facing. And as an organization, we have been asking for removing the exception to marital rape for a very long time. Then the whole Nirbhaya case happened, then the Verma Commission was set up. And during that time, also, when we petitioned the Verma Commission, at that time we requested that marital rape be included as one of the forms of violence. But that was not accepted. Verma Commission felt that marital rape must be included, but it was not accepted, and then it just remained like that. And we felt it's high time that the country makes this change, and somewhere this has to be looked into, and so we filed the petition. Also, we felt that, you see, once this thing becomes a crime, then women will also try and come out with cases. Now what happens that because it's not recognized as a crime, and because there is no form of conviction or no penalty for the husband, then the woman feels helpless as to she cannot get justice in this matter anyway. So she continues to suffer the violence within her home, and it gives an opportunity to the husband. It's a statement of power. It's a statement of trying to subdue a woman who, according to their norms, is not, sort of bowing down, kind of. So we felt that it's necessary to petition the courts, and that's how we put in the case.
Of course, but I would like you to expand upon this exemption in the first place. That in the Indian laws, does it state anywhere specifically that a husband coercing the wife into non consensual sex would not count as rape? Or, like, what is the legal precedent for it?
No, so in the definition of rape, the marital rape is kept out of that law. Marital rape is not included in the section of rape. So marital rape is an exemption. Marital rape, the word marital and rape, that is there, you see, in words. But
Okay.
this is exempted from the description of rape.
Hmm.
So
So it is
it is
not
not
tried as.
considered, yeah, yeah. It is not
So it is
tried as
not
rape
tried.
be-
Hmm.
because it's not. It is argued that a husband having coercive sex with the wife cannot be considered as rape, because I mean they feel it should not be equated with the rape by a stranger, and a rape by a known person. Now, this is not at all a valid argument because now, for example, you cannot say that all rapes that happen in the country are only by strangers. Like if you see for children, the whole POXO Act, we find that the rape on children, minors, is generally by known people, either the uncles or the neighbor or the brother or the brother's friends, or so this category of saying that rape can be by a stranger and rape by the husband should not be put at par, is trying to give some kind of a benefit to the husband. So if a husband commits rape, it is less of a crime than a stranger or a so-called stranger committing that same violence, which we do
Right.
not agree with because we think
Right.
violence is violence.
Of course. So then, speaking of violence, there are a lot of laws in our country which are targeted at domestic violence against women, especially. And the center in its affidavit has also pointed out that, and I'm quoting, suitably designed punitive measures are already in place to deal with any sort of violence that a married woman might go through, either at the hands of her husband or the family of a husband. Now, why is the center arguing that we already have these measures in place so women are thoroughly protected, but at the same time, we have exempted marital rape as not
Yeah.
not equal to a crime as of a violence against stranger? Just trying to get some more
Yeah.
perspective on why the center has created this difference that suitably designed punitive measures exist for domestic violence. Henceforth, we do not need to criminalize marital rape. Why is that?
So that is trying to just subvert the issue or either divert the issue. The reality is that yes, there are laws in place again for violence against women, but that does not include marital violence, marital rape. It doesn't include that. So that category still remains. For example, if you see a husband who doesn't do any kind of physical cruelty of that sense. Maybe he's doing mental trauma, mental torture, giving abuses which physically do not appear on the body of the woman, which is also violence of a form. But when when he resorts to a show of power and without her consent, has sex with her, he's raping her. So he may not be physically beating her, but he must be raping her. So this explanation is very faulty. That there are other laws which deal with cruelty and all that. Yes, there are laws, but there are no laws which are dealing with marital rape. That is the point. So if a
Right.
man is doing psychological warfare on the woman in the house and in the night raping her brutally, where will she go for justice for that?
Hmm.
So there's a there is a terrible kind of weakness in that argument.
Right. Right. Another thing that is argued in this affidavit is what is a marriage? And the government has provided two strict definitions. One is the Black's Law and one's the Halsbury Law. And both of these laws are more Western in nature, as they define a marriage as a contract between a man and a woman. So, of course, it's very gender affirmative. Like it's a man and a woman can be only the two people who enter into the institution of marriage, and then they are approved to do so by God, the church, and law. And the center then argues that while these are true facts, that this is a marriage, in India, we cannot say that marriage is a private institution under the Hindu personal laws, and that marriage has a larger significance, not only for the society, but for the nation at large. This is what they have argued. But then they also add, between a husband and wife who spend their days and nights together living in a house, etc., etc. Then at last they add, there exists a bond which defied, indeed transcends all identifiable parameters. In our country, it is submitted marital vows are inviolable. In both the definitions from the West and this argument that the court has presented, it sort of looks at marriage as something that is for life and the woman has no escape from the marriage. But India recognizes divorces. So why is the center trying to, or why is this affidavit trying to uh, really focus on the fact that marriage is something two people enter into which they can't escape? This confused me a bit. So if you can shed some light on it.
See, the institution of marriage, this government wants to sustain this unequal. Within our institutions, there is no concept of equality. And this government believes in the unequal status of women. It has said so many times. You must have heard it numerous times from all their proclamations at various point of times. We have heard it. Now, uh, an unequal relation has to be sustained because that is necessary, that is sacrosanct. You give it a garb of it being as if it is something, destined, and it is the law according to nature, and God written, etc., etc. Because you want to actually deny women the sense of being equal human beings and equal citizens. And that is why within marriage, they are trying to sustain this by saying that women are expected by the institution of marriage to ultimately succumb to the needs of the partner or the husband they are married to. A woman, a wife, cannot say no by the very virtue of the fact that she is married to him and that he is a husband and she has a duty and he has a right. So, this is how it has looked. It is on this basis that this institution of marriage they want to sustain. And it is in their concept. You see, that is why they keep saying that the institution of marriage uh, will get weakened and there will be problems in the society. Why should a woman who is talking about violence against her weaken the marriage? The marriage has already got weakened because of the violence committed by the husband, not by the woman.
Right. Ms. Dhawale, again, coming back to the affidavit arguments presented by the center, it has argued that the existence of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 has ensured safety of women in the institution of marriage in all aspects. Apart from that, there are laws, sections 35A, 35 4AB, 354B, and like various other sections, which the women can use in cases related to violence against them by a husband, which is why we don't need criminalization of marital rape. Again, we are circling back to the same argument that you are saying, and the petitioners are saying, that marital rape has been exempted from being criminalized. But Center is again saying that there are all of these sections which an aggrieved
No,
woman can use.
no, there aren't. Marital rape is not a part of the Domestic Violence Act. It doesn't include that.
But
Let me
the
tell you,
affidavit,
and
the 49-page affidavit clearly says that women are uh, protected entirely, in even in the institution of marriage, by this particular act and all these other sections.
no, it's general violence. It's not marital rape. It's not marital rape. And you can give any one instance where a woman has gone under Domestic Violence Act for marital rape. You won't find any. There isn't there. And also, you see, the Domestic Violence Act 2005, after 1947, when India got independent, after that, it took 2005 to even accept that domestic violence can be a crime. Can you
Hmm.
imagine how much the women's movement had to fight for it? It's
Yes.
because every time that a woman who suffered violence went to the police station or went to the court, she was always told, what happened if your husband hit you? Kya hua? Immediately you must come to court. Immediately you must come to police station. Pati ne hi mara hai na. Your husband only hit you. So what is there? So that means husband hitting, husband committing violence is the right of the husband, and the woman should suffer in silence. That is supposedly our culture, Indian culture, according to these people. So the woman who's raising her voice against it is not a good wife. So we have to
Hmm.
fight. And that is when this act was passed in 2005. But even now, Anviti, protection officers under this act are not in place. You please come one day to our office. We will show you numerous cases of domestic violence who have not got any relief because there are no relief mechanisms in place.
I mean, of course, all of that you said is correct, but another argument presented by this affidavit, they give examples of certain past court cases within Supreme Court or other state courts, and this is a bit I picked up from the affidavit that in here, pertaining to the case, a distinction is established that a law cannot be perceived to be a general law in character. Again, a distinction is established that a law cannot be perceived to be a general law in character, and there the state can, and therefore the state can classify and distinguish persons or things for the purpose of legislations. Now, what this argument is trying to say, and from based on a few paragraphs down, it is submitted that said classifications and legislative choices cannot be mathematical nicety, and it is fairness of procedure and timely judicial interventions to ensure reasonability. In short, it is being submitted that demographics of a marriage are sui generis, which means that there can be a multitude of male female relationships, but that one between a husband and a wife who are tied in a matrimonial law is distinct from any other known male female relationship. Again, here the center argues that a court, which is might be hearing a case of this nature, can put their own judgment first rather than the prescribed law. So, which is why we don't need a marital rape criminalization act. What are your thoughts on this?
This is a use of a lot of words, frankly. It's just trying to mix up the whole issue by using language. Okay. The fact is that today, institution of marriage is there. There is marital rape being committed. The government is shying away from accepting it as a crime. And it's not just only institution of marriage. There are various forms of relationships that have developed in society. So that is why now, for example, live-in relationships are also recognized by the courts. So if it is recognized as a crime, then some conviction, some penalty to the husband will be there. No, it will ensure safety of the woman and her children. So
Hmm.
this is all this what you read. It's a lot of words and a lot of jargon, but the real thing is that through all this web of words, the government is not really addressing the real issue.
But after this latest affidavit, what are you thinking? Like, are you thinking in a positive sense that maybe the courts will also look at the affidavit as you are looking at it, or what's the next step?
See,
Of
we
course, you
really
can't share
hope.
legal aspects, but other than that,
Yeah. So see, Supreme Court. The matter has come before the Supreme Court because the Delhi High Court gave a split judgment.
okay.
One judge felt that it has to be recognized. We were very happy that at least one person sitting in the seat where, felt that. One didn't feel so. So there was a split judgment, and that's why it came to the Supreme Court. Now, we do hope that the Supreme Court will look at this. It's high time. It's high time that this country realizes that things are changing. We cannot be a nation which sustains patriarchal values, which sustains the the image that of a woman in a patriarchal system. You know, a wife is an equal partner. She deserves equal treatment. She deserves respect. She has her own agency. She has autonomy of her own body. She has control of her own body. In our country, the woman owns the body of the wife after he marries her. He is supposed to be the sole owner. You see, she becomes his property. That is how it's looked upon now. So that cannot be accepted now in 2024. You see, the labor of the woman inside the house, that is the unpaid labor, is not counted as of any value to the earning that the man does. So many women who are highly educated, who had jobs, have left their jobs to stay at home and look after children. They could have also made their career. So their labor within the house is not counted into the earnings of the man. He could not have gone out there and worked if she was not doing the work in the house.
Hmm.
So it's like that way. Now, even now, if you see about maintenance, so many times, yes, some judgments are there, good judgments where the woman is given a good maintenance allowance according to
Hmm.
the standards that she was living. But it's not always. You see the way family courts are functioning. Our experience is very bitter. So women have yet a long way to go, and we do hope that the Supreme Court will do justice to us. We're looking forward to it. Let us hope something good happens finally.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for sharing all your very valuable insight with us, and I'll talk to you again uh, once the Supreme Court has a judgment of its own in the near future. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining us.
thank you. Thank you,
Uh,
Anvita. And I do hope really your channel takes this struggle forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. This was Anwiti for NDTV with Miss Mariam Dhawale.
Bye bye.
I'll just end the recording.
Yeah.